when you wake up and watch WYFF News 4 today.
Now, a WYFF News 4 sports special.
But our players have been amazing.
A rematch with a title on the line. The ACC Championship.
It's all about what you're made of.
Now, road to the title.
One for the record books and a rematch for the ages. Welcome into Road to the Title. I'm Mark Whiteman. Julia Morris will join us in just a moment. A historic 6th consecutive ACC Conference Championship on the line, in the line of sight for Clemson. Obstructing that view is Notre Dame, the first team to hand Clemson a regular season loss in 3 years.
They may see each other again in the championship.
It's exhausting going back and watching it over the last 2 weeks, to be honest with you. I mean, it was such a roller coaster of emotions, that game.
The run for ETN into the end zone.
It's kind of crazy we get a chance to just get a little redemption, but I mean, he's going to go out there and just play to the best of our abilities, man. Let the outcome be the outcome.
3rd and goal for Notre Dame. Book on the roll. He throws end zone, and it is caught for the touchdown.
It comes down to the small details, and that's how you win these rematch games.
And here come the Irish.
I think second time around it's going to be a lot harder. It's hard to beat a good team twice.
These are the games you get excited for. Obviously, excited for every game, but these are the big ones that are really fun to be a part of.
It is over, and the Irish have knocked off #1 Clemson.
Really hoping we get another shot. We're right where we want to be.
This was a great football game. I think we're going to see a rematch.
Let's go. Let's go play. Enough statements. Enough talk. Let's go play.
You heard the man, let's go play. Revenge is a dish best served in Charlotte, but it can't be the only thing on the plate. It took 2 overtimes, no Trevor Lawrence, and a banged-up defense, but the Irish triumphed over Clemson back in November, snapping a streak of 36 straight regular season wins. The Tigers' chance to right a wrong is rare in and of itself. Since the modern poll era began in 1936, tomorrow will be just the 4th rematch of 2 top 5 teams in the same season. But what happened in South Bend has no bearing on Saturday night.
I mean, you can want to get revenge or whatever. That doesn't fit the gaps properly. That doesn't catch the ball. That don't make the competitive play. Certainly want to learn from your mistakes. You want to learn from your successes too. And it's really just about championship execution. And, that's what's going to win this game.
In all 3 prior instances of same-season rematches, the loser of the first game won by at least 3 touchdowns in the second meeting. Julia?
Mark, after going 10-0 in the regular season, Notre Dame is a likely lock to make the college football playoff regardless of what happens on Saturday. But the Fighting Irish can still make a statement by beating #3 Clemson twice in the same year. But that's clearly easier said than done. Head coach Brian Kelly saying this week he expects another closely contested football game. And as rare as college football rematches are, Notre Dame being in a conference title game has never happened. With the Irish joining the ACC this year, players are getting their first taste of a conference championship.
We're wired to think that we're going to win the football game, and we expect to win the football game. So they don't go around thinking, hey, we're going to lose the game, then we're probably still in the playoffs. We're thinking about winning the ACC championship. So all of our time, all of our energy is about this game and winning this football game.
Though Kelly has enjoyed the relationship with the ACC, he said this week that independence is, quote, part of who we are in our DNA.
Coming up, Cornell Powell's ready for his close-up, the standout receiver on his career season as a 5th-year senior. Plus, Trevor Lawrence, take 2. The Tigers star quarterback sidelined during Clemson's first trip to South Bend in November. What he's thinking ahead of Saturday. You're watching Road to the Title on WYFF 4.
Road to the Title is sponsored by Engel.
$5 million in total prizes. Gift them before they're gone.
Uiagalelei firing deep ball downfield. Cornell Powell with the catch for the touchdown.
Clemson wide receiver Cornell Powell has had plenty of reasons to be fired up this year. His 53-yard touchdown in South Bend was the first score of 50-plus yards surrendered by the Fighting Irish since the 2018 Cotton Bowl against Clemson. They say that good things come to those who wait, and Powell is proof that patience can pay off in a big way. Under the radar for most of his career, the fifth-year senior has become a go-to guy for the Tigers. I caught up with Powell this week to ask what he hopes people will remember about his breakout year. Cornell, before we talk about your big season, I want to go back to 2015 when Clemson played Notre Dame in Death Valley. You were at that game as a recruit and then committed to Clemson shortly after. What do you remember about that game?
I remember the atmosphere, the energy in the stadium. Probably one of the loudest games I've been to. And just the heart and determination by Clemson's defense that year to stop them guys on the goal line, for the two-point conversion and to basically for the walk-off win, man. It was very special to see that live in person. And when I got here, I understood the passion that drove those guys behind that play, and it was really what made me come here, to be honest.
When you got to Clemson, you were competing against guys like Mike Williams, Hunter Renfrow, some of the best wide receivers to ever play at Clemson. But you said you felt it was God's plan for you to stay at Clemson and stick it out. Why did you want to stay at Clemson?
Just the journey that I was on. I learned a lot, all the lessons. I learned how to compete, learned how to be a better team player, learned how to be a better friend, a better man along the way. It's not always about football. And when I was here at Clemson, you learn a lot of things, a lot of life lessons off the field, and it just prepared me for this year, this moment right now. And I didn't want to run from that. I didn't want to run from adversity. I wanted to compete and get everything get everything that I earned. And I feel like staying here at Clemson was the best opportunity for that.
One of the big things that you've accomplished this season, back-to-back games with 150 receiving yards, and you joined DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins as the only players in Clemson history to achieve that mark. What are your emotions when you hear your name mentioned with those guys?
It's a blessing and an honor to be mentioned with those two great Clemson legends, but they set the standard at wide receiver, and it's only right if I do my part and uphold it while I'm here and while I have the opportunity to. So, never satisfied, always wanting more, and I feel like I can continue to do those things and make the plays and, just be great for this team and do whatever to help the team win.
There are no shortage of storylines heading into Saturday when you go back to your home state to compete for an ACC championship. You'll be playing against a team that beat you guys earlier this year, and you'll have the chance to help Clemson earn its 6th consecutive ACC title. What are you most looking forward to about this opportunity?
Just going out there and just playing Clemson football and doing the best that we can to make sure that we do everything we can to win, and it started Monday, just coming in here and fine-tuning the details and getting back to, film, study, and all that, and then focusing on Clemson and how can we be better as an offense and essentially help our team win.
And taking a closer look at Powell's stats now, his numbers this year all around better than what he did in his first 4 seasons combined. He had 40 career receptions prior to 2020. He has 41 this year and counting. His 2020 yardage more than double his career total, and he has 5 touchdowns this season.
What a story. Trevor Lawrence has been on the other end of most of Cornell Powell's highlights this year, but the connection was missing in the Tigers' first game against Notre Dame. DJ Uiagalelei was awesome, throwing for 439 yards and 2 scores against the Irish, while Lawrence was relegated to the sidelines in South Bend due to COVID-19 protocols. Saturday will be just the 3rd game Lawrence has played over the last 8 weeks, but as far as he can recall, the first time he's had an opportunity to avenge an earlier loss.
I don't think I've ever played the same team twice. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But not off the top of my head. I can't remember. So that's special. And obviously, usually I'm on the good side of games. I'm on, we win. But after losing that game, it's really cool that we get another chance to play him again. That's really rare. So we're grateful for that.
His quarterback counterpart on the opposite sideline Saturday, quite good as well. Julia?
Yeah, Mark, on the same Saturday, Trevor Lawrence made his first career start. Notre Dame quarterback Ian Book was making his third. Book's success is well storied, becoming the winningest quarterback in school history, and he can add to his legacy with one more win over the Tigers. Book stepped up on the big stage in their win over Clemson in November, a drastic improvement from his 2018 Cotton Bowl performance against the Tigers in a 30-3 loss. He threw for more than 300 yards and rushed for 67 more. And while some have questioned the legitimacy of the win with Lawrence unavailable, Book pointing out Lawrence has no impact on how he runs the Irish offense.
Trevor Lawrence doesn't play defense, so it was the same for us, and my job is to win, right? That's what we said. My job's to win as the quarterback, and whoever the 11 guys they were gonna put out there on defense is what we were gonna go against. And I think it'll be good that he's back, and hopefully we can get those people to be quiet, because that's what I've heard a lot, just like you have.
Book also saying he would vote for Florida quarterback Kyle Trask to win the Heisman, so he's certainly given the Tigers plenty of bulletin board material ahead of tomorrow's game. As for how they stack up, Trevor Lawrence has started 33 career games, Ian Book 34. Since their debuts, Lawrence has thrown for nearly 9,400 yards. Book has rushed for 1,500. Both have taken care of the ball and scored a ton of touchdowns. Lawrence up to 102 total scores in his career, Book 88. It's the winning that sets them apart from virtually everyone else in college football. Lawrence 33-1 in his career, Book 30-3.
Hey, still to come, a quick chat with Tim Beret, the retired sports information director, Notre Dame alumnus, on what he's watching for and who he's rooting for Saturday. And there's no replacing Isaiah Simmons, but Mike Jones has shined. I sat down with the Tigers linebacker to take stock of his first year as a starter. Straight ahead on Road to the Title.
Road to the Title is sponsored by
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Here's the throw, intercepted. Mike Jones.
It's not just on the field that redshirt sophomore Mike Jones is making an impact. The charismatic young linebacker was a driving force in the Tigers' march for change this summer and has continued to lead in his first season as a starter as one of many Clemson defenders asked to raise their game when Isaiah Simmons left for the NFL.
Here's Culpepper under duress, and Jones had him, ball pop loose.
In my mind, I've always been a competitor, and I feel like I've always been a team guy. I played quarterback my freshman year of high school, and so I've kind of been used to rallying the troops for a while and just trying to be like a positive force in the field.
Obviously, it takes a village to replace Isaiah Simmons, but knowing that such a huge piece of last year's defense was leaving and that you were going to become a starter for the first time, how did you feel the opportunity you were presented with going into the season?
Being here going on year 3, I've been working for this for a while, and there was times I was a little nervous because they did it all, but I've always been one to accept the challenge, and I'm also surrounded by a whole bunch of good people, man. I remember actually going into Wake Forest, I come in to the coaches, and I'm like, look, Coach, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous. And Coach B tells me, man, you don't got to do it all yourself. You surrounded by 10 other guys, and all you got to do is do your 1 of 11. And that was just like, very settling to me.
For someone who's never been in that locker room, how would you explain playing for Coach B?
It's intense. It is intense. It is 100% intense. The man's a winner. He's a competitor. He loves the game. He absolutely loves the game, and he loves his guys too, man. So while it is intense, it is like I know you got me, even though you might be yelling at me. I know it's because you care about me.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but do you have a good Coach B impression you can give me if he's lighting into you about something?
There's like so many things I could do. What are you doing? What are you doing out there? He'd be hype. He's the
throw, intercepted. Mike Jones. And did he get in? No.
That interception against Syracuse, how badly did you want to get that one in the end zone?
That one hurt, man. That one hurt. I've never, this is the crazy thing. I've been thinking, in my mind, I'm going to get a pick, first pick in the Valley, I'm going to score. Pick 6, I know it's going to happen. I catch a pick, and I see the end zone, and I'm like, wow, I've been thinking about this one. Oh, that was rough.
I hope you get one at some point, and I'm sure you will. Obviously, after that Syracuse game, you suffered the injury. You weren't able to play in South Bend the first time. What was the experience like watching that game against the Irish, not being able to play?
I wanted to be there for my brothers, and that was hard. I've been playing football since I was 5, and I'd never missed a game. So that was rough, but, I know I wasn't going to be able to play a little bit like halfway through the week. So, my next thing I can do to help my team win is try to be a coach and try to give good notes to the guys who were playing behind me. I'm glad I get to go do it now. Another chance.
Jones certainly an easy guy to root for. Well, Notre Dame's defense has been among the best in the country, and though Clemson scored 40 in early November against the Fighting Irish, the points don't tell the full story. Clemson was 4 for 15 on third down. That's a 26% completion rate, in line with what Notre Dame has allowed this year. And while quarterback DJ Uiagalelei threw for more than 400 yards, Notre Dame was extremely effective in stopping the run. Clemson held to just 34 total rushing yards, and Notre Dame scored 10 points off Tigers' turnovers.
Those defenses are really good. Some of the best I've ever played against. So it's a great challenge, but we struggled last time running the ball, and so I think we have to accept that challenge and better ourselves in that area.
They're incredibly well coached. This is as well coached a team as you're going to see. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They tackle well, and we need to be more efficient. And if we can be more efficient, then we'll be better on third down.
Clemson running back Travis Etienne limited to just 28 rushing yards in South Bend. The Tigers certainly hope to get him going tomorrow. Mark?
Julia, Clemson and Notre Dame had met just 4 times before this year, so Tim Bray didn't have a conflict of interest very often. The Tigers' retired sports information director graduated from Notre Dame and began his career there. Tim Bray on his rooting interest and the number that's defined the first 5 matchups in this series.
Oh, the toss, it's in the hands of a Wilson Parabola, who will score!
The thing for fans to watch for is turnover margin. The team that's won the turnover margin is 5-0, and of course we look forward to, from a Clemson standpoint, of Davis and Skalski and Jones being in the lineup when they weren't in the lineup in the first game. Great stat to throw at you. In games this year that Skalski and Davis have played, the opponent averages 1.2 yards a carry. In the games they didn't play, the opponent averages 5.2 yards a carry.
I thought Brian Kelly had some very interesting comments this week, asked about the partnership with the ACC, of course, and the 1-year history of Notre Dame being in a conference. They're making the conference championship game. He said, the conference has been so great to us. We appreciate their partnership, but independence is part of our DNA. I wonder how you feel about that.
Being able to be a national school, to go all over the country, that's kind of Notre Dame's brand. Now that said, they've got to think that, what they've accomplished this year has been pretty significantly, and maybe being a part of the conference isn't all that bad. I say never, but I think in the short term they'll probably go back to being independent.
I'm not going to ask you to pick a winner. Which team will you be rooting for on Saturday?
I wouldn't be a Clemson and had a 40-year career if I didn't get the experience of working for Roger Valdesari and the credibility of his program. But I've been gone from Notre Dame for 40 years. I jokingly tell people that Brian Kelly didn't give me a golf cart with a Notre Dame logo and a Clemson logo on it when I retired. And of course, Dabo Sweeney did, and he and I are very close. I could never root against a team coached by Dabo Sweeney. Plus, I still, to some extent, work with, see the players here. The guys who were seniors and redshirt juniors were my last class that I worked with them when they arrived. I'll be all in for Clemson. And plus, if Clemson wins, it looks like we'll have a 3rd game. I'd like that.
Yeah, I think we all would. Gotta love the golf cart. We are closing up shop after the break, but not before we break down the keys that will define this game. Plus, we're going inside the numbers. You're watching Road to the Title on WYFF 4.
Road to the Title is sponsored by
GX. See your local Buick dealer.
Hey, welcome back to Road to the Title. Now it's time to break down the ACC championship game by the numbers. And we're going to start with the number 7. Clemson has won 7 consecutive revenge games over the last 7 seasons. When the Tigers have had the chance to avenge a loss, they're undefeated since the 2014 win over South Carolina. In that stretch, Clemson has scored wins over Syracuse, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Florida State, South Carolina, and Alabama twice. Our next number is 18.3. While the offensive stars make the headlines, Clemson and Notre Dame have the two best defenses in the country. In the conference, I should say. The Tigers allow 18.3 points per game, only bettered by 17.1 from Notre Dame. That's a full touchdown better than third best Pitt.
Mark, even with elite defenses, there will be plenty of offensive firepower on the field tomorrow. Our next number is 12. Both running backs Travis Etienne and Kyron Williams have 12 rushing touchdowns on the season, tied for third in the ACC. The two backs have more plays from scrimmage than any two players in the conference and are separated by just 9 total yards. And our final number is 33. With 33 wins as a starter, Trevor Lawrence is not only the winningest quarterback in Clemson history, he also has the best winning percentage in modern college football history. Notre Dame's Ian Book is just off of this list at 30-3 as a starter. He is Notre Dame's all-time winningest quarterback.
So by this time tomorrow night, we will have an ACC champion. As for what might decide the champion, well, here's our keys to the game. Clemson has to be better on third down this time around. You heard Julia mention it earlier in the show. Dabo Swinney pointed to that prior to the November game as being critical, and it came to pass. Tigers were just 4 of 15 on the money down against the Irish. Ian Book has been so elusive this season. Tigers have to contain him when he tries to break out of the pocket. He ran for nearly 70 yards in the double overtime win. This one's obvious. Trevor Lawrence, anytime you get a Heisman contender back, probably going to be good for the offense. And then limiting explosive plays, also essential. Notre Dame had 5 plays that gained at least 25 yards in the first meeting. Julia?
Even though Clemson quarterback DJ Uiagalelei played well against Notre Dame in South Bend, I believe this will be a different game with Trevor Lawrence on the field. Lawrence counting on his offensive line to play well. That's my first key to the game. If the O-line can protect Lawrence, he can hurt the Irish with his legs, and I think his return will make Clemson much more efficient on third down this time around. My second key, stopping the run. The Irish rushed for more than 200 yards against Clemson. They'll need to find a way to slow down Kyron Williams, who ran for 140. And Clemson has to get its own run game going. The Tigers averaging a measly 1 yard per rush last time these teams met. That has to improve. Finally, win the turnover battle. Clemson had 3 turnovers in South Bend. The Irish had just 1. Clemson needs to force Notre Dame to make more mistakes. Mark?
Julia, almost game time. Championship weekend upon us. Cannot wait for Saturday afternoon. Clemson and Notre Dame, 4 p.m. in Charlotte. For Julia Morris and our entire hardworking crew of producers, directors, floor crew, and control room heroes, thanks as always for joining us. Enjoy your college football weekend. Have a good night.
Wake up and watch WYFF News 4 today.